A day after the grand oath-taking ceremony, NDA 3.0 is in action mode. On day one itself, the Prime Minister signed his first file authorizing the release of around 20,000 crores to about 9.3 crore farmers. In fact, approving the 17th installment of PM Kisan Samman Nidhi scheme, he said, and I quote, "Ours is a government fully committed to Kisan Kalyan." But the big question that's still lurking around, that's still building up the suspense is, what are the expectations when it comes to portfolio allocations? In fact, the first cabinet meet of NDA 3.0 is currently underway. Let me go across to my colleague Prakash, and I'm told that we are also joined by Ms. Neerja Chowdhury, who's a journalist and political commentator. Ma'am, thanks very much for joining us this evening. I'll begin by asking you questions in just a bit, but let me first go across to Prakash, who's getting us a ground situation. Prakash, it's been 22 hours, the longest perhaps that a government has taken to reveal who owns what, which portfolio. Definitely a lot of push and pull happening from within the government.
Yes, we are still waiting for the portfolio to be announced, because still it's around 5:30 p.m. and we were told earlier in the day that the portfolio is going to be announced by the President's House around 10:30, and then it has come to around 2 p.m. And again, now we are being informed by our sources that the portfolio is going to be announced by after the cabinet meeting. So I am here at North Block, the residence of the office of the Finance Minister. The security arrangements have been beefed up. You can clearly see through the visuals, and preparations are underway, and we are expecting that the post-cabinet, the list is going to come out, and then we'll come to know who is going to what. So these are the ground situation at this point of time, and a lot of discussions are taking place. Some speculations have also been coming out from the different sources of different sections of the government. A lot of demands coming in from the allies, and I don't know how the things are going to be settled, but we are now learning from our sources that the final list of the portfolio is going to be announced shortly. Now coming on to cabinet meeting, which is underway at the PM's residence, where some important decisions are expected to be taken. The first one is with regard to allocation of additional houses under PM Awas Yojana, where it is expected that the first cabinet of under the chairmanship of the Prime Minister is going to approve additional construction of additional 2 crore houses under PM Awas Yojana. Along with that, what we are also learning that the formal announcement of the commencement of Parliament session is also been taken. The decision will also be taken by the cabinet. So these are the important decisions which is expected. But at this point of time, all eyes on the portfolios, all eyes on the ministers, who is getting what. And at this point of time, we are at the North Block, and the situation here is that the preparations are underway, and we are expecting the post-cabinet, the list is going to be announced. Yes, back to you.
Really underway as far as the cabinet formation or the revelation of the portfolios is concerned. Thanks very much, Prakash. We'll come back to you whenever you have some more updates on this very crucial story. So all eyes really on who gets to own what are really the dynamics at play as far as BJP and its allies are concerned. And of course, Neerja, ma'am, suspense really building up as far as that portfolio allocation is concerned. It's been over 22 hours and still there's no word on or indication on who will own what. I want to first ask you a very basic question on the cabinet session that's underway. Is it possible for a cabinet meeting to take place before announcing or before the revelation of who exactly owns which portfolio?
I think obviously the Prime Minister has taken this decision with the cabinet colleagues. He even signed in the morning the file for the farmers' welfare. And I think the first decisions he has taken is clearly with an eye on the state elections that are due in a few months. Maharashtra, Haryana, Jharkhand, and Delhi next year, and later, of course, Bihar. Because the BJP now, because it's got less than a majority figure, will be called upon to reseize the initiative and show that it is a player in these states. Otherwise, it will be said the BJP is on the decline, on the wane, and Modi magic is on the wane. So it is very, very critical for the Prime Minister not only to stabilize his government in the first 6 months, but to get ready for this very critical important elections that are due. And I think he's taken the formation of the cabinet and taking so many of the old hands. Almost half of the cabinet is made up of people who were members of his cabinet in the last two governments. The idea was to signal continuity, as a result, political stability, experience, familiarity, and very much giving the message that I'm in control, things are under control, even though we are a coalition government. And therefore, the allocation of the portfolios is also going to be, I think people think he may repeat many people, but the crucial question is on finance. There's a lot of suspense on whether Nirmala Sitharaman continues as finance minister. Will she be replaced by Piyush Goyal? Or what happens there? It'll be foolhardy to speculate minutes before the list is going to be released. But certainly, I would think it's taken time. Normally, the portfolios got announced, within a few hours of the swearing in. But it didn't happen in the morning, didn't happen post-lunch. And obviously, there are pulls and pressures that was there. And of course, the allies would also be angling for, bargaining for the important economic and infrastructure ministries. I know the Janata Dal U was very keen on railways.
Ma'am, I'll come to that point. I'll come to that point in just a bit, but very interesting point that you raised about who really owns the finance ministry's portfolio, considering and signaling, the kind of signals that we've gotten as far as the Indian economy is concerned. We've consistently seen, positive commentary coming in from global brokerages, from global brands as well. And of course, the recent GDP figures definitely tell the growing India story. But the big challenge this time around for the government will be to balance jobs as well, plus growth. And of course, taking on that unemployment challenge will be key for NDA 3.0.
Absolutely. If there's one challenge that faces our politics today, irrespective of parties, and the government has to deliver, it is joblessness. It is to address joblessness. And it's going to become a bigger and bigger issue with so many, India being a young country. As we often say, 65% of the people under 35 and rising aspiration. And that, that you heard on the ground during the election campaign, wherever you went, people expressing that dissatisfaction about the unemployment situation, rising prices, economic distress. So for the poorer section, those were major issues. And in North Indian states where the BJP has lost ground, and even in Maharashtra, and it will have to take note of this.
Absolutely, ma'am. And also coming back to the previous point about Mr. Modi actually signing authorizing the release of around 20,000 crores to about 9.3 crore farmers. His statement is of immense interest when he says, and I quote, that ours is a government fully committed to Kisan Kalyan. Of course, you mentioned that that's happening on the back of elections in at least 6 states coming up, J&K being the first one. But it also signals the fact that the Modi government is keen to course correct, considering that they were expecting a 400 plus number, but they've had to settle with 293.
You're right. The BJP has been very quick always to course correct, to get the feedback and then course correct. And I think the fact that he's also talked about the PM's Awas Yojana, houses, more houses for the poor, I think he has taken note of the fact that the poorer section, and that includes Dalits, that includes the OBCs, have moved away, particularly in a state like Uttar Pradesh, which is so critical. It was Uttar Pradesh that gave the government, the BJP, a majority in 2014. It was Uttar Pradesh that gave the government 303. Had those numbers not been there, even in the last two governments, the numbers would not have been what the BJP got. So Uttar Pradesh is very, very critical. And I think the Prime Minister, as you see in the first two decisions, is addressing those communities, those sections of society, and sending, suitable signals.
Right, right. And ma'am, that was also something, the PM Kisan Awas Yojana was also something that the Prime Minister mentioned last week during his address when he was taking claim after taking claim, and after having that meeting inside the hall, the central hall of the Parliament. But coming back to portfolio allocation, ma'am, this is something that we've also spoken about over the past few days, that there are multiple power and pressure centers within the government, and therefore decision making, as it seems, could be slightly measured over the next 5 years. There could be multiple balancing of demands as well. As of now also, just in the case of portfolio allocation, we're also hearing of Shiv Sena reportedly saying that they expected a cabinet berth and not really MOS, after NCP also had some grievances as well. So is this sort of a reflection of the next 5 years?
Coalition governance has always been difficult. It's a minefield. All prime ministers who headed coalition governments have found this to be true. And the prime ministers who have headed, Mr. Modi, who's headed only majority governments so far, and in the last 2 terms almost had unfettered power to make decisions, this is the challenge he's going to be facing. He's going to be facing pressures from the allies on issues, and we see that the first challenge today on allocation of portfolios, he will face a very aggressive opposition in Parliament, and he will certainly also face the concerns of his own senior party people within the party, within the larger RSS family. So yes, on multiple fronts there will be challenges, and moving with enormous patience, taking the concerns of people on board. It will be a very different kind of functioning. But the Prime Minister, I'm told, conveyed to his cabinet colleagues, soon after the results had come out, a day after that, when they met together, the Council of Ministers, apparently he said, this is a challenge we will take on, and we will fulfill the coalition dharma.
All right, so we will fulfill the coalition dharma, and in fact, we also heard from Mr. Naidu as well as from Nitish Kumar and several of NDA's, BJP's allies as well last week on them choosing unanimously Prime Minister Modi's leadership, and of course, they all said that we agree. However, regional aspirations have to be balanced with national aspirations as well. Having said that, ma'am, I also want to understand, given the statements that came out of these, the leaders of these key alliances, KC Tyagi, for instance, when he spoke of that, special status to the state of Bihar, and this is also something that there've been murmurs and speculations about Andhra Pradesh also actually, asking for a special status besides some of the key portfolios. I want to understand from you, what will it really take for BJP to sort of take on this sort of a challenge? Because this parliament session, like you said, is going to be a strengthened parliament. The opposition will be stronger as well as compared to the past 10 years.
Yes, the special status Bihar has been asking for, and Andhra Pradesh has also been asking for. This is one of the reasons for Chandrababu Naidu breaking away from NDA last time. So I think they will have to evolve a special package. How difficult or easy it is going to be will have to be, I think they will have to evolve innovative ways of transferring funds to both the states. Because Chandrababu Naidu's priority seems to be funds for his new capital at Amravati, for other purposes, for development of Andhra, the plans he has in mind. So also Nitish Kumar. But I think the financial package may be more easily handled than some other issues. What happens to the speaker? Is there a tussle going on the speaker also?
Go ahead, ma'am. You were saying.
No, the speaker is a very important post. The BJP does not have a majority, and if you remember, Narasimha Rao, when he came to power in 1991, had exactly the same figure. It was a minority government, 240, and he ran the minority government for about a year and a half, and then broke smaller parties to acquire a majority. The regional parties would fear a similar situation. Therefore, the speaker becomes very important, both for the BJP as well as for the regional parties. Now, are they striking a hard bargain, or it'll be difficult? BJP will not want to give up the speakership to one of its allies. So this is going to be a difficult one to resolve.
Absolutely.
And as portfolios may be more easily resolved.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And of course, having said that, the BJP has made it very clear, of course, this is based on, our sources and what reports are telling us, that it is not going to part away with key portfolios. However, it is open to sort of listen to its allies and alliances and fulfill its coalition dharma, but definitely a tough task at hand for NDA 3.0 as it hopes to expect and balance the expectations of allies with its own parties. On that note, thank you very much, ma'am, for joining us this evening.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.